All right. I feel like everyone knows Gail, so
Yeah.
Okay, and I can share now?
you can share.
Okay,
That'll happen.
there. Get this a little smaller. There. Okay. So, welcome to part 2, recruiting new members. And this is the section about the lapsed member survey. We talked about it a little tiny bit at the last one, I think, but this is in much more details. And well, you know me, I'm Gail, and I'm looking forward to telling you all about the lapsed member survey that SIA did, and not only how they did it, but what they found out and the number one reason why people leave the club. Next. Do you have this on the full screen, or do you see the side too?
We see the
You see
side.
the side.
Oh, slideshow. Let me fix that. Yeah, it wasn't working the way I wanted it.
Beautiful slides, though.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, there we go. And then I think if I hit, now if I hit the next button, it works. Okay. So our agenda, introduction, I think we've done that. The timeline, we're going to be done in an hour if I have anything to say about it. So we are going to explore the key findings of our lapsed member survey and why members leave, what they valued when they were in the club, and whether they'd be willing to return. And guess what? The majority of the respondents said they would join a club again in the future, particularly among the 35 to 54-year-old age group. That's good news, don't you think?
Yeah,
Because that's we need that energy.
definitely.
So during the 2018 to 2019 club year, just before COVID, so I wonder if that means this stuff is dated, SIA began distributing, that's bad language there, of the lapsed member survey on a quarterly basis. And 96% of the responses were in the United States. I guess we're just a little more active. It was done just before the pandemic shutdowns. They used SurveyMonkey, and they started in January of 2019, sending it to individuals with valid email addresses in the SIA's database, who had left their Optimist Club during the first 2 quarters of the club year. And so that would be between June and November of 2018. And then they sent out the survey again in April of 2019 to those who had lapsed during the 3rd quarter of the club year. And again in July 2019, they sent it to the people who had quit in the last quarter, which would be March to June or something. So it was done in all 6 of our Federation languages, and we received 420 completed surveys, and most of them came from the first distribution in January of 2019. Our primary goals are still to help us understand what is important to prospective members so that we can recruit them and engage them and retain them. And so this is what they learned from the survey, and what they recommend is to continue managing our organizational change toward a focus on our mission and the next big goal. And as you know, we've been pushing that a lot, and the mission kind of speaks for itself. And then the second thing is to continue to provide and grow leadership development opportunities at all levels of the organization. So it's kind of like a Toastmaster club, you get to be a secretary, a treasurer, a leader of some sort. And then engage the next generation of Seroptimists, which is the hardest. Jan Hebert's in the waiting room. Did you let her in?
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
It's on my screen. Hi, Jan. Hi, Jan.
Okay.
We're talking about lapsed members. So the first recommendation was to continue managing our organizational change toward focus on SIA's mission and the next big goal. That's a mouthful. So the mission and our organization's focus on women and girls is still continues to be very relevant throughout our newest lapsed member survey. The mission is the top reason they joined, and they did not want to rejoin Seroptimist if their club projects were not mission focused, and they want to find volunteer opportunities that are more fulfilling. So this was recommended following the survey, and that it should be continued. The mission and our organizational focus is very relevant throughout the newest lapsed member survey. They almost all talked about that, especially they talk about crosstab results where they're trying to, different ages and things like that. Everybody liked the mission. Former members continue to identify our mission as the top reason they joined, and furthermore, those whose clubs were not mission focused those people were far less likely to reconsider rejoining. They're also much more likely to now be volunteering with another organization. And so they say this shows that the clubs whose projects aren't mission focused are not providing the experience that these lapsed members were seeking when they joined the Seroptimist. These members may leave to pursue other volunteer opportunities that are more fulfilling. So this is an area of improvement that clubs need to focus on. And I think that's also why, what do they call it, Judy? The new thing where projects that are not Live Your Dream or Dibby are still being counted now. I forgot, what's the word for that?
Big accelerator.
The big accelerator. Thank you. Let me write that down here so I don't forget it again. It's been a long day. Big accelerator. Okay. So we need to continue. Did I do this? Oh yeah. Did I do this? Did I do this one? We talked about this slide, I think.
Yep,
Okay.
you did this one.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Then also, they're recommending we continue to provide and grow leadership development opportunities at all levels of organization. There are club functioning reasons that people left, and the good old standard club personality reasons for leaving. So, yeah, club functioning reasons rose in importance to be the top reason why members said they left the membership. Seroptimist club officers should be supported in improving their club operations to prevent members from leaving for these reasons. And it's things like the meetings aren't organized, they take too long, they're boring. Those are club functioning reasons for leaving. The club personality reasons for leaving are interpersonal issues still persist in creating a negative member experience locally, and clubs should be supported to improve. So they're recommending we have training and resources should need to be provided in relation to conflict resolution. And I think that all of you went to the district meetings, and Judy gave a really good, did you do it all three of them, Judy? A really good.
I only did 1 and 3.
Yeah, the conflict resolution thing.
District 2, yeah.
Okay. So conflict resolution and handling difficult situations in clubs. I mean, it just keeps coming up and keeps coming up. And we all know, we see it at work. We see it in other organizations. We know. And then the next recommendation is engage the next generation of Seroptimists. And of course, differences stand out throughout the generations. I don't know how many of you have very young members in your clubs, but they seem to be the hardest to get engaged, in my opinion. And some of it is because, like, I've been in my club a long time, 20 years, and we get a lot of new members in, and we're excited to have young members, but they don't know us very well. You don't get to be bosom buddies in 5 minutes. It takes a while, and they want instant gratification, I think. So throughout the survey data, the differences stand out across the generations, and SIA, we all should recognize and continue to study the different needs. And they say this way: the different needs of the various markets served by our clubs. So, some of this marketing language, I'm not sure, but I guess it's the same thing. What's going to appeal to the younger people and what's going to appeal to the older people. Seroptimist's youngest members are leaving due to unfulfilling activities. And they have shared that they want networking opportunities. The development of resources to support clubs in engaging this generation could support them in delivering the member experience. And networking is not all that big of a deal when you think about it. We have a lot of experienced members who, our own careers, our partners' careers, our husbands' or wives' careers and stuff, that we could be helping new young members out with things that they need, right? In the group. And then the younger members indicated that the highest likelihood of rejoining should be viewed as an opportunity area for growth. This group are the ones that said they'd be most likely to rejoin. And I think some of this is they've got a lot on their plates. A lot of them are moms,
Right.
And a lot of them are, taking care of work and home for the most part. And, it's hard. That age group is kind of hard to manage sometimes. So I know you're asking, who responded to this survey? We have 28 regions, 21 different regions out of the 28 responded to this survey. Majority were from the Northwestern region. Anyone have their computer handy to figure out what clubs those are? I think it's like Washington, Oregon.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
I think Alaska's in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Idaho, Montana, maybe. I'm not quite sure. They got a tiny bit from Mexico, Central America, the Philippines, Taiwan, and Western Canada. didn't get anything from Japan or Korea. And that might be a cultural thing.
Yeah.
And does anyone have any insight as to why they would not want to do a survey?
Document their true feelings.
Yeah, right. Or
I
then
mean-
maybe they don't want to document their failures or
Yeah,
something.
or document their failures. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was interesting.
I
Okay.
can ask somebody, but maybe surveys aren't something they do there, you know?
Yeah, that's possible.
It's just not, they don't do that. So they're not familiar with it. Yeah.
Yeah. I've done Survey Monkey for our region under Governor Tana, and it was kind of, they're easy, you know, it's kind of fun. They're really easy. They're easy to answer the questions and stuff. But yeah, some people don't want to share. So the number one reason people became seroptimists, and we did talk about this at my last presentation in October, to help improve the lives of women and girls. See, 61%, and we all can get behind that. And then a much smaller percentage wanted to meet people in the community and build fulfilling relationships. And then, as you can see, it gets down lower. Networking opportunities. See, that's the younger generation that we don't have very many members yet. And to work on a specific club project. And they said 4% was other stuff, but they didn't tell me what it was.
Other stuff.
So they do say that lapsed members responded in alignment with the top two reasons that have historically ranked the highest in this question over time: to help improve the lives of women and girls, to meet people in the community. And the former members that were in the 25 to 35 age group, they wanted more networking opportunities. And I do know that my club, before COVID, we were doing once. Was it once? Yeah, it was once a month, the last Tuesday of the month or something. We'd meet at a pretty cool hotel bar or something like that for seroptimist networking. And we get some young people coming up, but they wanted networking. They didn't want to join a 501c3 club. They wanted to meet other professional people and share cards and stuff like that. So we had to rename it. So then were the club projects focused on the mission? Remember, that was some of the reasons that some lapsed members were not happy. 74% said yes, their club projects were focused on the mission. So what was the problem? And okay, my fingers didn't type it out, but local community projects and fundraisers were the focus, not the women and girls projects. They wanted their clubs were supporting other organizations. There was a lack of club socializing, and there was a lack of club projects. You know, and I've heard that a friend of mine joined a club in Texas, and they have a couple bequests that were given to them by deceased members. They don't need to fundraise, and they just don't. And like, what are you going to do? What's fun if you're not going to get together and, I don't know, do a garage sale or fill up dream bags or something, you know?
Yeah.
And did they enjoy the club meetings? And 79% said yes. So now once again, I'm like, well, why did they quit?
Yeah.
And 21% that they did not enjoy the club meetings. So when asked if they enjoyed it, the following groups were more likely than the overall group to indicate they enjoyed the club meetings by a margin of 10%. Those who've been a member for 10 to 20 years, 90% said, yeah, I enjoyed my meetings. Former members in the age group 75 to 84, 89% enjoyed it. And those indicated their club projects were focused on the SIA's mission, 89%. It's kind of weird, right? This is a lapsed member survey, and they're saying that they enjoyed their club meetings. But now we'll get to the nitty-gritty. The ones who said why their meetings were not enjoyable, the negative interactions, ooh, that's not new, that the other members were not open to new ideas, they weren't productive, the meetings were too long or too frequent, they weren't interesting, there was a lack of focus on the mission, the cost of the meals, everybody complains about the food, and the president was disorganized. This goes to club operating function or whatever that phrase was. The top-ranking responses were related to the personality issues in the club. Where negative interactions with club members, club leaders having their own ideas and not being interested in new ideas. And then these are followed by logistical concerns about the club meetings not being productive and being too frequent. A comparison was made across respondents who said only some of their club projects were focused on the mission and the SIA's mission, and those who said projects were mission focused. Those whose projects were not all mission focused were statistically significantly more likely to respond that meetings were not enjoyable because of the lack of focus on the mission. So they want to talk about women and girls and helping women and girls and what's going on in the world. What did they value about Seroptimist? When asked about what qualities they valued most, they chose the following top choices by a large margin. The opportunity to volunteer in local communities, friendship and fellowship. Those are my two top ones too. Funny. Personal connection to the mission of empowering women and girls, being with other like-minded women, and the fifth most highly ranked response, which trailed behind many points, was being part of a global organization. I don't think a lot of our Seroptimist members understand that we are a global organization. So 72% like the volunteer opportunities, 70% like the friendship and fellowship, 70% like the personal connection, and 60% like being with other like-minded women. But only 35% enjoyed being part of a global organization. So, and then viewing this question across age groups shows the following. Respondents aged 25 to 34 chose networking more frequently than any of the other age brackets. That's a big message, networking.
Yep.
And so maybe it, you can have a committee to talk about, well, who are our members? What were their careers? What are their, everybody who retires still has a lot of connections or makes new connections, and maybe start using that as a selling point to attract the younger people. Let's put our hats on and figure something out here. So what do you think about this survey?
I'll pipe in first, Gail, if that's okay. Well,
Yes.
I was in a in-person club a few years back. It's been a while. It was the late 1900s and the early 2000s. And then I took a break for quite a few years and I came back on the online club. And I will say that I do miss the in-person aspect of it. It's harder to get to know people. I feel like I'm struggling with networking. Back when I was in our club, and it was the San Bruno Millbrae Club that no longer exists.
Yeah.
I think a good portion of it, even back then, people were joined for networking. It was all professional women. There was a lot of small business owners.
Yeah.
I do think that was a big part of why they were part of that club. I mean,
were you in the 35 to 54-year-old age group, by the way?
Yes, it
At
was
the time?
35 to 54 at that time. There were a fair amount. There were over 55. I think there was the 60s, and even back then they were in their 70s. But I do believe that even back then it was networking. It was,
Yes.
and we really supported each other outside of the club, using each other's small businesses. There was a bakery owner. There was a florist.
Mhm.
The florist, she was doing everybody's weddings, children's weddings, and photographer. We had a photographer. We had a Millbrae School District superintendent.
Can you admit
she really
Tony
kept us
Tyrell?
involved I'm sorry?
Can you admit Tony Tyrell, Judy? Do we know who that is?
Oh, sorry. I don't know who that is. Let's find out.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Never mind.
No,
Continue.
I can relate to the networking aspect of it, and I do kind of miss that with the online club. I think that's the biggest difference here because we're spread out and we're not seeing each other in person.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know them as well personally because we're not sharing a lot of our personal aspect of it. So I can understand that. And the second thing I do, and this I'm coming from experience of comparing my current experience with when I was in my previous club. And I'm finding now that I'm 20 years older, I'm in a little bit of a different time in my life. I'm looking at retirement. I'm finding it's too bureaucratic. We're spending too much time on business. Where these are simple things, our bank account it's not a lot of money. It's not millions of dollars. Everything to me is very simple, but we tend to get tied up in the business part of it. And I think that makes the meeting less interesting and more just this business we have to take care of. And I personally don't find this business to be critical. I want to talk about the mission. I want to talk about women and girls. I want to look at, I want to focus on that personally, even at my age. And I'm outside the bracket, I'm 65. That's why I'm here. And I feel like we have to follow these rules every month, and we have to go through these procedures, and we have to, and that's what I've noticed this time around as a member versus when I was a member in my first club. So some of the things that came up in this survey, I really can relate to as a new member, my second time being a new member. I feel that a little bit. And
I think that's that the business focus like that is a function of who your president is, or do you think it's okay?
I was going to kind of try to say that diplomatically, Gail, but you said it for me. I
Okay.
do believe too who the president is, who's running the meetings. But if it comes up in the survey a lot, then I think the presidents are trying to run this system, and it becomes very business-like in a sense where I don't think it needs to have that feel so much.
Right.
This is pretty simple.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying, Julie. And as someone who also started in Seroptimus in a different club, I've been in 4 different clubs, and I can tell you that they're very different, and a lot of it's driven by the community. So when I first joined, very small town, a town of 4,000 people, not atypical of a lot of Seroptimus clubs, even in our region, where it's very much ingrained in the community. And I was in my late 20s. I was kind of new in leadership in my job, and it was very much about meeting people. I was new to the community and networking, just like you said. And same thing, we had like somebody that owned a gift shop and somebody that owned a printing shop, and and it was the same. It was very much let's support each other, not just in our club, but in our business, which is part of what we say we do. So I also find now, and this is not a criticism of my club, so nobody take this wrong, I do find it more businessy, but we also only meet once a month, and my other club met every week for lunch. And so we had the opportunity to just do the once a month business, and the other 3 times were always fun. It was either a program speaker or something motivational, or just even a little bit more social. And so for like our club that only meets once a month, that has to do the business portion, I think is part of the challenge.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I wanted to just address something about the younger generation. Gail, I really liked your slides, your presentation, and everything. I thought that survey, I don't know, you didn't come up with that survey? It was SIA or something?
No, I didn't do it. SIA did it. Yeah, but they just published it just before, just this fall.
Okay. I knew that you did. I mean, I just wasn't anyway thinking.
Yeah, I'm a genius. I have plenty of time to do this kind of stuff.
I'm so tired. My brain's not connected. Anyway. That younger generation, we got lucky and recruited a 23-year-old 2 years ago, but she recruited at a non-Seroptimus event. Anyway, she was at an event that I was sponsoring. I always give a shout out to Seroptimus and share what the mission is. And she wasn't interested in, I'm a Mary Kay lady, I was doing a Mary Kay event, and she wasn't interested necessarily in that. I mean, she is a darling customer and everything, but what she was really interested in was Seroptimus. So when she made a point to reach back to me, and we got her to a meeting right away. Next thing you know, she joins. Well, today, okay, it's been a couple of years now. I wanted to share something really exciting about what she did today. And this is what the power of having somebody young. Well, she's also recruited about 5 other young people into our club, right?
Nice.
These young people want to do TikToks. They want to they're great on Instagram. Let them, don't hold back, let them do it. But today we have a holiday luncheon coming up on Wednesday. Well, we always provide these beautiful poinsettias for the tables, for the centerpieces. So the young member, the 25-year-old, goes with these ladies, on the committee to pick up all these hundreds of poinsettias, right? Well, in the past, we never had any record of them doing that. We didn't have photos. We didn't have, they just came and brought the poinsettias to the event, right? Sat them on the table. They were beautiful. We auctioned them off, whatever. Well, today on our Instagram and in our Facebook feed, we've got this darling reel because she took a video and she did a beautiful job capturing the moment, right? And of course, she tags Sir Optimus and tags our holiday luncheon and all this stuff. But I mean, that kind of life coming into your club is so great, But I don't know. I know, but they need to have fun, and they need part of that instant gratification for her was making us, doing something fun. And so I only say that just, you addressed, they have a need for, they need, it's harder they have a shorter attention span, or it's harder to get them engaged, but giving them a space to be creative and take us to a different place, our marketing, I just say, let them do it,
Well,
Yeah.
I totally agree. And that's a problem. I think in our club right now is pretty old. The age limit or age range is pretty high. And we do have some young people wanting to come in. Well, you do have to strike a balance between the social element and the mission and all that. I think you have to, even in your meetings, there has to be some business, there has to be a little fun. And sometimes we meet there and we get our food and we go to eat, and we don't even have one bite in our mouths until it's already time for business. And I'm always like, how about if we just let everybody eat a little bit first,
Right.
talk a little bit, socialize, and then start the meeting. But we have people that are chop, let's get out of here. We need to, so how do you strike that balance so everybody's happy?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, that's I think it is more like strictly business when you're doing online. It seems like our meetings are more strictly business, but that also might just be a function of who became our president during most of that as well. And because when we were meeting at restaurants, we always 6 to 6:30 was to join it. There's another person wanted to be admitted. 6 to 6:30 was socializing, and people would get there and have a cocktail and maybe get some poo-poos and and talk and stuff like that, and yell hey whenever somebody walked in the room. And yeah, and it's kind of slow for my club to try and get back into in-person meetings. We had a great holiday party yesterday, Sunday.
Oh, awesome.
And a lot of members came, and we did the Stratovist dream bags, Julie. That I love how you.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, we made. I think we have 11 and actually 12 because a bag I ordered from Amazon showed up on the doorstep when I got home, and everyone brought their own recipes and food, and it was very, very fun. Oh, and our president who has got three little girls. She brought the two youngest ones, and they're just running all over the place screaming, and laughing. So I'm hoping that people want to start coming to meetings again.
I think that was positive, Gail. I had a couple, like Louise, right, who we've missed horribly because she just won't Zoom, and she was there, and it was so great to see her. And I hope it's the momentum our club needs, because I do think it makes a huge difference in your level of engagement and in your investment in relationships. And you get the opportunity to see people's kids or talk about what people are up to outside of Sir Optimus, which I think is important.
Yeah.
I think you need that connection, that human connection. Because the more you have that, the more you want to work together, right?
Yeah.
But I guess my point was a lot of what we saw in that survey, I actually can relate to. I understand. I think that it was pretty, it was accurate,
Yeah.
in my point of view.
Yeah, Charlotte, I think your point is really interesting as well. And thank you for sharing a very specific example, because I know that I'm not really old, but I'm not young. And so I don't know when we say new or young, what our definition of that is, but I know it's younger than I am. So, because I have two daughters. I have a daughter's one's in their 20s, and they're both in their 20s. And so, I watch them, and this kind of, and we all know this kind of overkill on taking pictures of everything and posting them over, like I don't really need to see your plate of food, but this is what they do. And rather than saying, ridiculing it or saying, well, I I don't like pictures of myself. I don't. And so I'm always shy when I see a camera. But just to be more accepting and realize this is the world they've grown up in and will continue to live in, and just as an older person, to give them the space to do that without like backing away from it. I mean, I would never say don't do that. I would just like hide in the corner, right? So accepting that that's just as much a part of how they interact and share information these days as we may have done differently 20 years ago.
Well, yeah, just not may have a rule like turn the phones off. I mean, I think turn your ringer off is a great idea.
Yeah.
But because a lot of times they're saying, I'm at my Seroptimus meeting and we're doing this. This is good advertising.
perfect.
Yeah. Keep the phones on. Just turn the ringer off so it doesn't because some of those ringers are horrible. I know that some people, I think one of my nieces has like the old-fashioned telephone that we grew up with ringing. It's really loud, catches your attention.
Yeah.
I wonder how many of our clubs are involved with their local chambers. I know, the smaller towns are
the Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce. I know a lot of the smaller towns probably are, but when you were talking about networking, our local chamber has a lot of the local chambers have mixers, and they're so fun, and COVID, I think they're back up and running again, but I'm living in 2 places right now, so I haven't gone, but this year, but like last couple of years, we would show up with our Seroptimus hat on. We'd have our name badges. We would have our business cards with Seroptimus. We would have a little goodie bag with candy in it, and
great idea.
We would just meet people, meet and greet. There was usually cocktails involved, unless it was coffee and donuts, but it was fun. And so a group of us would go, and you can, if you had another business, had another business, like I have another business, you could work it both ways, but but being having fun. We're the best kept secret, right? So getting that secret out there that we're an organization. And to me, that's networking, like that's like another avenue of networking is meeting people, and
we just got a new member that's a cabbie. She does cabbies.
Yeah.
And she led a fundraiser and gave up all her money that she was going to make off the sales. And then her company matched it.
Wow. Yeah, cabbie's very
like
good.
that. It was, I don't know, I think it was around $6,000 or something.
Wow.
So awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you recruit her? Is she a Seroptimus?
She is now.
Yeah. She's your member, one of your members.
Well, sort of I did, because I'm in charge of membership, but she just filled, she was
a member. I didn't catch that part. Yeah.
You know how Seroptimus sends the interest things over. So I'm sure she might be one that was joined for networking purposes. It's possible, but she's adorable. I mean, Judy, you met her at our.
Yeah, she's very sweet.
Really
and she came to the district meeting, right? So,
yeah, she's got she's
a keeper.
All the boxes. So
yeah, and some people, we have our recent past president. Shannon came to network and present her Juice Plus business that she has, and then she left, and then she kept thinking about it, and she actually joined and is very active and does a lot of stuff, and I bought her Juice Plus. I'm on that regime.
Well, I've mentioned it numerous times to our club members, but one of the problems we have in our club is because we're an older club member, they want to keep things, they don't want to change. They want to keep doing the same things they do. And as far I have another friend that was in the Vacaville Club, and they do a whole lot of women in business stuff, which to me fits the mission perfectly, supporting women in business, and then they end up giving back when they're successful. It's just a cyclic thing, and I just don't understand why we don't do more supporting women in business. And then you mentioned the Chamber of Commerce and all that. I mean, those all go hand in hand. Figure that out.
Yeah, and we started out as a business and professional women's organization, right? And I think it really started out as networking because men wouldn't let us in their business.
Exactly. No, I do believe that's how it started out.
Yeah, we didn't have them.
That's not in print, but I think that's a big reason. Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Well,
and so-
I've been saying stuff to my club for a while because I taught high school for 40 years and I was the athletic director and I
Cool.
sat through way too many of those senior award nights where the Elks Club comes and the Rotary comes and this comes and the military comes and all of them come and give a 200 or whatever scholarship to some kid that could use the money to go buy books at college or whatever.
Yeah.
Totally fits the mission as long as it's a female, I guess. But I just keep saying, why can't, we're not doing Dream It, Be It very much. Why can't we start with that little thing? Like just giving a scholarship to one or two colleges to a girl that's going to go on to college.
exactly. That's why I'm so glad we have the accelerator program, and I'm hoping your club can embrace it because, yeah, there's a lot of girls and women projects that we could do that are
Because we've
not
never
live your
done
dream.
it, because they've never done it, they don't want to do it.
Right.
We have
Yeah.
a lot of clubs in our region that do that though. And I could be wrong. This could be a gross generalization that's inaccurate, but I find that sort of thing is very prevalent in the smaller communities. Well,
Yeah.
every service organization offers a scholarship of some
Yeah.
sort, which is fantastic.
Well, we
We could
service
do that,
an awful lot of high schools in
yeah.
Silicon Valley. There's a lot of high
Mhm.
schools, but where you could send one member to each high school for the $200 scholarship that's going to buy books for at least one. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah. My Chamber of Commerce, I got a club to join it because we go in and out. The dues are really, really high. What are the dues where you're at, Charlotte?
Yeah, they went up, but I think they're like, don't quote me, but I could be so wrong. I think they're like $250 a year.
Yeah, ours are like 600.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely not
Just
that.
to be a member of the chamber, to go to the
Yeah, to be a member of the
member.
Chamber of Commerce, and
Oh.
and so, and it depends if we can get one or two people who can commit to going once in a while. But it got really hard. Like as I said in San Francisco, it takes you half an hour to get from point A to B, and then you're looking for parking. And for some reason, since everything's opened up, I think the traffic is worse. Have you noticed that, Judy?
It is.
Yeah.
It is
bad.
much worse. Oh yeah, and they've taken out lanes of traffic so they can have a bike lane.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Oh, right.
they're on the major route to the bridge. Like, why the bicycles are not going on the bridge? I don't get it. Why
And
couldn't
they
you have used this?
they took bus routes down. So
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
they cut out. They shut down part of Market Street. It just is it's a big mess. So it's hard to
It takes a long time to get across the city.
yeah.
Really
And
does.
so I think that just before COVID, I think that that then president thought that we should just get out of it. But they used to have mixers, and they used to have women networking events because, I'm glad that these organizations opened up to let women in, but it's not always fun to be working around men all the time. And then the women's, they did it a couple of years in a row, and those networking things were great, and we got members out of it. That
Yeah.
pretty loyal.
Yeah.
Stayed with us for a while. It was great. And we did the same
Yeah.
thing like whoever was describing, wearing our name badges and our shirts and, and giving out cards and stuff like that.
I'm wondering if we need to partner like with the banks or, partner with a business. I'm all about like finding a partner, and
Yeah.
so on our mission. It's much easier in a smaller town, but I have no idea how to do it in San Francisco. But let's say the Symphony, I don't know if they'd open your doors to you all for an evening of a networking event or something,
I mean,
but just the lobby,
I say we're more broke than Sir Optimus, but whatever.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I stole this idea from a Mary Kay sales director that I used to go to her meetings. Now I'm a sales director, but I loved the title. It was called Celebrating Women, but it was all about just Mary Kay. It was products and the, what we do, our business and everything. Well, I put a spin on it. And I celebrate a woman in our community, but you could do more than one woman. You could have a panel of women, right? But I pick someone in the community. I ask people. So anyway, I do this once a quarter, and that's how we got our young members that joined, right? Well, anyway, the evening, I say it is sponsored by our team, our little Mary Kay team, and we provide the wine and she, even though Mary Kay's not about wine and everything, but I'm about wine.
It's
So
not good for the complexion.
Wait a minute, so
so anyway, we have, you know, wine and appetizers, but
where do you do this? At someone's
So-
home or?
I do, no, actually that could be good too. I do it at a visitor center in Oakdale. It's not part of the chamber, but it's part of the Oakdale Tourism Bureau.
Mhm.
But anyway, they rent the facility to us for $18 an hour. Okay. We have a
Nice.
2 hour, you know,
Wow.
2 hour event. Well, anyway, what I do though is I give the woman a topic to talk on.
Mhm.
And she gets the floor. So if she has a business like a retail establishment, she can talk about her business and bring things or whatever. But if she, like this one woman I had come speak, was the, well, she, at the time she works for Gallo Winery now in their marketing division, but before she was the president of a small organization in our little town.
Mhm.
Well, I just had her come and speak on confidence. And
Mm.
she did a
Nice.
wonderful job. She was this young, you know, millennial age. Well, she's actually in her 20s. She's 26. I don't even know what, you know.
Well,
Anyway,
even just if they tell their story about how they got their business off
Yeah.
the ground, you know?
yeah, she did a phenomenal job. You know, you take pictures, you publicize it, you know, you tag them after the fact. And now we've got this thing celebrating women, and people in the community now are sort of like, "Ooh, I wonder who it's going to be next," or I wonder how can
Well,
I
that's
see that
nice.
get picked, you know? So maybe that's something, you know, another
That's a
community can do.
great idea. Yeah,
I'm
I love
happy
it.
I have these little graphics I make on Canva. You just make a cute invite, you know,
Mhm.
and I don't say anything about Mary Kay. I
Do you
say,
get, how many people show up? Do you get a lot of?
yeah, well, the cool thing is a lot of our Soroptimist members will come to support it, which is just nice. And then because they're there, I have them in the opening, I have a little agenda. I have all my Soroptimist club members stand, give a wave, and then I share what our mission is. But
Well,
it's
doesn't the woman that you're celebrating invite a bunch of people too?
yes.
Yeah.
So like the
Nice.
last member the last gal I celebrated works for the small newspaper in our town. And she is also a young 25-year-old ish girl. She's a junior editor or whatever. Well, the senior editor came, and all the people from the paper
Oh.
came, you know, and it was just like so uplifting and like a confidence builder for this young girl, right? But
Mhm.
in addition to that, other people in the community came, but only because I marketed it through Nextdoor.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
I have
Yeah.
found Nextdoor to be a really good place to do some marketing. Women are on there, you know,
Mhm.
and I don't like the app real well, and but it works. You know, I mean, it's a good resource.
You know, I recommended that to SI Lodi last biennium
Oh,
to help them build up their club, and it worked. And they got a lot of people. And then they were still doing online meetings because it was early in the opening up. And you know, they got a woman who claimed she was interested in the mission and stuff and she was invited to the meeting. But then she gave the link away to people that came to, you know, where you call that, not hacking, but you know, what do you
Much.
oh, I know.
blasting and being crude and nasty and stuff like that. And they were very disappointed with it, and they decided they were going to drop it. And
That was
they
that
did
meetup.
everything right about trying to be secure and advertise not with the link, but that, you know, if you want the link, email here. And that they just had this. Apparently, this group had
That
this
was
really.
unfortunate. I heard about that. That was through Meetup. Yeah.
It was meetup.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
Meetup.
that's right. It was Meetup, not Nextdoor. You're right.
But
You're right.
still,
Thank
I
you.
mean, it could still happen anywhere.
But yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Nextdoor is just a place you can advertise things, you know?
Yeah.
Most
Yeah,
people
and
are,
I wanted to explore that for the online club, but Nextdoor is community based, and so the online club
Yes,
is all over Southern
exactly.
California.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But anyway, for whatever it's worth, I don't mean to talk so much. I just I think that I've just seen that to be women want to get together and they like a feel good, you know, they want to lift somebody up, elevate somebody, right? But it could be more than one person. I just happen to choose one gal. But usually,
Yes.
going back to your question, Paula, I would say we usually have around 25 to 30 people. And I would say maybe
That's a great group.
6 or
That's a
so.
Yeah,
great
it's a
turnout,
great
yeah.
response.
It's just good. It's good enough. It is. It's fun, and they stay and they chat after, and cost me another $9 an early
Right. 2.5 hours, not 2. Okay.
Hey, I'm really sorry, but I actually have company and I told them I'd get off at 7:15, so I'm gonna bow out, but lovely.
Well, thanks for joining. I'm glad you're interested enough to stay over 7 minutes.
All right.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye. So I guess I'm wondering, what can we do to help our so-called staid members to just, let go and embrace things are different?
Yes.
Yeah, so Gail, I was telling Charlotte had a little mini conference with her presidents that were able to come earlier today. Just touch base kind of thing, but everyone's
on here. Hi, Karen.
everyone's saying the same thing, right? Everyone's saying this generational gap is getting more obvious, and just the difference. And the problem is not new, but
No, and I think it's in every organization too.
so I was telling Charlotte that Charlotte, I haven't told anybody else this. I just thought it was a good idea. So I made this grand announcement that at the conference next year, we're going to do some sort of, I'll use the word workshop, but whatever it's going to end up being, some sort of presentation or something on this topic of generations and kind of, what's happening in the world today, how we talk, in the whole world of diversity and inclusion, and how we kind of get up with the times on the discussions that are happening on social media and workplaces. Because I think it's really important that we talk, we understand, I'm envisioning like some sort of, this just came to me after our call, Charlotte. I was like, oh, we should like I'm going to write a play. This is the thing. I'm going to write something. I'm going to script it. And people are going to act. I'm going to get people to act. Anyway, I'm just sort of kidding.
That sounds good.
I'm not actually kidding. Something just to kind of highlight, what's happening. Like, I deal with it at work. I have younger people that work for me, and their approach to work is totally different than when I was doing that work 20 years ago in my career. They have more technology. They have more, just, it's just different. And so I encourage the District 2 presidents and anyone here, as you encounter things throughout the year, as things come up that feel related to the topic of, if we could just let go, or if we could be more embracing, or if we could have more new members, or new members said this, or an older member said, whatever it is, give us that feedback so we can design some content that's kind of really starting to get at it, and we can practice with it, and because it's important, and there's no one like curriculum, if you will, that addresses it. It's a series of things, but just getting up and talking about it isn't the answer either. So just keep that in mind.
So you're thinking of doing like a little play or something?
Well, I was thinking about a little play,
I think that's a great idea, because that gets people's attention. It's interesting.
It's a different way to do it. It gets people involved, and if we can get some young people involved, and
That's a good idea.
Get some old timers involved, and just kind of,
it could be hilarious. You could have a young person doing it, pretending she's doing a TikTok, or do one while she's there as part of the play. I mean, who knows, but that's why being creative is so important, and good for you for, taking your idea and thinking it through a little more, getting, I feel like when you have a creative idea, you got something, like run with it,
Yeah.
That's great.
So we'll see
We're behind you on this, and we'll help those of us who like to write. I like to write.
Sure.
Yes, Gail will act.
I love the idea. Yeah.
Gail's fun.
Yeah, I'll act. Yeah.
Yeah, and it could be a series of some, smaller role playing. There's something that's, a little bit interactive, and it can be fun. We can have fun with it. It doesn't have to be totally serious enough, but not totally serious. And
Yeah, I think that years ago, Lynn from, I can't remember what club in Central Valley, but she had this little skit with about Violet Richardson and how Shopkins got started in the Clarence Morrow guy and all this kind of stuff. And well, Loretta Fornaciari, of course, was Clarence Morrow. It was hysterical, but I've never forgotten the story, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Embedded.
good. It made an impression. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it is there's got to be a way that it is a big challenge to get the more seasoned members to be okay with change. And it's really hard to embrace change and all that stuff. And I don't know the answer, but we do need to be really thinking about how to, I mean, I don't know if it means that maybe we need to, well, first of all, you got to get some younger people in. That's one thing. But once you get them in, maybe they need to pair up with an older more seasoned
Yeah.
member, do some,
Yeah.
you know, equal mentoring. I mean, like the younger person.
Yeah, it works both ways, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's like we can sit and mock TikTok or whatever. But
Right.
what we're not seeing the other side. We're not seeing the engagement they're getting back. We're just seeing somebody spending a lot of time on their phone. It looks like they're distracted. And then
Right.
on the other side, they're getting all these, tell me more about this.
Exactly.
And that's the part as observers we don't see. And it'd be interesting for them to talk about why do you do TikTok? Why,
Yeah.
it's just as an example.
Well, yeah, and also, I mean, people don't want their privacy broadcasted all over the place, but if you got someone saying, "Oh, I'm here with Gail and Judy and Julie and Charlotte, and we're doing this," and you've just given a whole bunch of advertising just for optimists.
If we were smart, we'd take a picture right now. We should have done it earlier.
We had everybody there.
A screen picture, and
This leadership training was a blast.
Well, this is a good picture. It shows 3 people aren't on camera. But I just want to listening to you, and I know we're concerned about bringing in and opening it up to a younger generation. My feeling is we need to just bring in members, and I'm not so concerned about the age. I'm focused more on just bringing in members. The age thing doesn't worry me as much. I think like I said earlier, at my age, I'm feeling uninspired and bored. So I'm not 30 years old saying that. I'm 65 saying that. So I'm not so sure it's an age thing versus just the club itself. We need to modernize ourselves a little bit.
Yeah.
And I feel like coming back into it, we're not keeping up with the times. It's feeling a little stale and old. And I'm being very candid and honest with you. I think it's a safe space to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I just want to get any member, and I don't care. I really don't care. I mean, it's great to have younger people, but at this point in time, you can be 80 years old. It's the energy you bring. It's the enthusiasm. It's the inspiration. Because I could learn from an 80-year-old. Sure. They don't have to be 40, 30, 20, 30, 40, 50 to me, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Age isn't relevant to me. It's it's the inspiration. And they're actually older people can teach me a lot more, so I don't want to focus on bringing in the younger generation as much as just bringing in people, making this club exciting. People want to be a part of it.
And Julie, a lot of people who are like our age have nieces, nephews, daughters, granddaughters, and where are you going, Mom? I'm going to my Seroptimist meeting, and they'll start bringing people in. One of our members she's the aunt to her nephew's wife lives just down the street, and she babysits their little boy Austin, and they both joined.
There, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm talking about Lupe, but Lupe lapsed because she's having a lot of personal issues. She was taking care of her grandmother, but she does plan to rejoin. Maybe 6 months. She said we saw her at our party last night. It's great, but that was brought in by an older member.
Yeah.
I guess I don't want to start this older versus the younger. Us versus them. I don't want it to come across that way. I want us all to be. There's no age gap here. We're all women that are focusing on doing this together.
Mhm.
I don't know. That's kind of how I'm seeing it too.
Well, I just,
Because if we're trying to get younger people, and my club's really challenged with that, so I'll take anybody at this point in time. It doesn't
I
matter
think
your age.
all
I'm not
of
trying to focus on the younger generation. I'm
That's
just
totally
trying to
fair.
focus on getting women interested
Yeah.
in joining our club.
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
fair.
I think the big thing that we're hearing though is the ones that do have the younger members, just the getting it's the change, the older members being accepting change and different ideas and things like that. And that is a challenge, but but certainly membership as a whole, I think if you're running an exciting club, you're going to bring a variety of ages.
Yes.
You're going to bring it all. You just got to think outside the box a little and get out of the staleness and bring in the Doritos, not the stale chips, bring in the hot Cheetos. I don't
But
know.
please,
Even
not
hot
that Cheetos.
I think you're absolutely right. If it's an exciting club, we don't
Yeah.
have to focus on the age as much as everybody would want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And certainly women that are empty nester age, they need purpose in their life again. Like I'm an empty nester. I see that so much, feeling a sense of fulfillment again, having something to look forward to get up in the morning and you got something to work on, you don't have your kids anymore. I mean, that's a perfect age to enjoy a club like ours and make a difference, but
Yeah.
hi, Tony. You're so beautiful. Well, I think I don't know if she's
Is she frozen?
No, she might be.
No, she's not. She's just
No,
listening.
she's not frozen.
Well, it is 7:30 and I'm
Okay.
having a great time, but I fed my dogs and now they're all like sitting there with their little legs crossed because it's time to go for the walk in the rain.
On their raincoats and go out, Gail.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Thank you,
stuff them in their
everyone.
snowsuits. But I really enjoy this. Thank you for sharing this with me. And it's made the whole thing more
Yeah.
interesting, more
Yeah. Thank
understood.
you, Gail. Thanks for
Yes, thank
taking the
you, Gail.
time and for leading this discussion. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed
Yeah.
it a lot.
Yeah.
It's been an eye opener. This is
Yeah.
very
I'm going to
interesting.
report back to my COVID. Gail, is there access to your presentation?
Oh yeah. You want me to send it to you?
That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. I should do it right now
appreciate it.
before I forget.
Okay. All
We
right.
all
Thank
like
you.
it, I'm sure.
You want both of them or just this one?
I'd like both of
Oh,
them.
send both. They're both really good.
They're both
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna,
Thank you, Gail.
I'm gonna stop the recording.